Hello and welcome back. My name is Soumya and today I will explain you a very interesting problem of test cases having lazy evaluation of variable and how we can solve it. So for programmers it's really important to write the test cases in every programming language you are using. So let's see how other languages use test cases. So here if you can see in JavaScript we write like this to use lazy evaluation of the variable, and in Ruby we use let variable to use lazy evaluation. So with this I will also explain with a practical example in Ruby language, and so let's move forward to my project. Here I already created a Ruby project and I will show you how to do this, and later on I will share GitHub link as well where I pushed this code. So this is my readme, and which will explain you all the steps you need to perform in order to set up this Ruby project. So let's go to preview in the browser. So here you can create a folder with these commands, and then you have to create a gem file and then bundle install. Then you can initialize the rspec folder and you can create any file. I created it test_spec.rb for this demo, and then you just need to run the rspec with this command in terminal. My test spec file where we're gonna write a code to perform a specific example I have right now. So let's assume that we have a list of names, and we do loop over this list, and we will call a function which should return a different value for each name every time. So this is a list of names, and we can create a subject. So what is subject? Subject is basically an object that needs to be tested. It may or may not be defined, which means in real world we don't have that object, we don't have that class maybe, but if it is defined then even we can call function of that on that object. So in subject we can create a object with double, and which will have a name. Let's say it's Somya for now. So now what is double? Double is just to mock something. For example, here you are mocking an attribute name and creating an object. Now on this person object we can call functions as well. So instead of writing the function here, we can just create a module person and just create a very basic method which gonna return a string, basically a quality that this person is a very good programmer, and we can call this function here, or we can just extend the person so that all the method will be extended. We can use here. So subject is created, we can use it now. So here we can consider two contexts. The first one is cached with let variable, right? And another context could be suppress cached value, right? So these are two contexts. So here we're gonna loop over these names. So names dot each to name, and for each name we're gonna call this subject. it should have correct text in the quality, where we call subject and the quality method, which has this method and something text like this, and which gonna return name is a very good programmer. So name could be Soumya, Alex, and Peter. So let's run this program, uh, or you can say test case, using a command rspec in your terminal. And yes, it is not successful. Why? So every time you are getting Soumya is very good programmer, Soumya is very good programmer instead of Alex and Peter. But one test case is passing, which is when we have Soumya as a name. So why it is? Because we have hard coded this value. Let's remove this hard coded value and have a variable name, person name, and now we have to define it somewhere. So let's use a let variable person name, and it will have a name. So basically person name should have a different value each time in the iteration. So first time it will have Soumya, then Alex, and Peter. So it should be fine. Now let's see our spec, but it is still failing. But we are expecting Soumya is a good programmer, but we are getting Peter, and then we are getting Peter. So every time we are just getting Peter. So it still has two failure and one is successful. So that one is when we are having a Peter as a name here. In that case it is passing. So from here, if you see, the first time person name is Soumya, and second time it is Alex, and third time it is Peter. So the last value is being cached for this let variable. So every time you loop over this, and this let will have a cached value, which is not something we are looking for, right? So how we can have a better solution for this? So let's move to this context then. So here I'll just copy the it example here like this, again looping over the name and expecting something. But when it use the subject, it is expecting a person name which is not defined in this context. So let's define it first with some default value. So let's copy this here and some default value. So let's comment this section because it is not working anymore. And now if we run the spec again, so all three will fail because every time we are getting default value is a good programming, default value is a good programmer. What we can do here, we just have to stub some value. So we have a subject, so just use a stub, and where you can pass name and then value currently we have in the iteration. So first time subject will have Soumya, and then Alex, and then Peter. So let's run this again. So it's all passing now. So that's the magic of this stub. We are not caching this value anymore because we don't have to. So I will share you a GitHub link. So this is something which I pushed if you want to have a look how the steps are mentioned there, and this is useful. I will also push all the test cases over there and you can play around. And I found it very interesting. I hope you also enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching my video. Bye bye.